Hi, you're watching UseWise YouTube channel. I'm Adriana Baranek, CEO of Media Group, and here with me is Mladen Baranek, our CTO.
Hi.
So today we have decided to give you an overview of Google Workspace versus Microsoft 365. We will be showing you the presentation with just the bullet points, and in the end of this presentation there is a button on which you can click and get to our page to receive the copy of the report on Google Workspace and Microsoft 365 sponsored by Google. The link to this presentation will be in the comments below this video. So Google recently introduced Workspace, and even though we already had the video comparing former G Suite with Office 365, we decided that it was time to give you an update on various aspects of the comparison. So we are, just a disclaimer, we are partners with both Google and Microsoft, and in our everyday life we use Google Workspace a little bit more, but we also deploy and use Office 365, Microsoft 365 as well. So we are not really very biased individuals to talk about that. And as a company, we really cherish our partnership with both of those big companies. So the landscape of the office productivity has pretty much been reduced to Google Workspace and Microsoft 365. There were some competitors, and there are still some competitors that are trying to do something in this arena. But basically, when we are talking about the office productivity, Google and Microsoft really hold the market. So there are topics which we will go through. The report that you will be able to download from this presentation shows some figures, shows some opinions, and might not necessarily be in line with everything that we now say. We can get started. On the topic of the collaboration, what can you tell us about it, Mladen?
So regarding collaboration, that is one of the strong points of Google Workspace, though Microsoft had a catch up and they recently developed Teams and improved on OneDrive. So Microsoft is able to do collaboration as well. But most users, especially in bigger companies, prefer Google Workspace, and somehow there are better results on feedback from users in big enterprises. Smaller companies tend to use Office 365 more, but still Google Workspace has an edge in collaboration, even in smaller companies.
Because when we look at the collaboration part, you know, the Microsoft held this old world of one person, one document, one editor, and then we mail the same copy, or we use some awkward SharePoint where you have to lock and unlock documents, and it was all very clunky in the past. So Google started with the real-time collaboration basically a long time ago, far earlier than Microsoft did with start with Office 365. So in the area of collaboration, we can say that if you want to provide feedback, if you want to work in the real time, Google Workspace still has the edge. As Mladen said, Microsoft definitely is catching up to Google, but Google is also continually introducing new features and new ways in which you can collaborate.
Yes.
So, yeah.
So the idea is that collaboration is possible using video conferencing tools, but with Google Workspace, Editors are also equipped for better collaboration. So while you can simultaneously edit Microsoft Word or Microsoft Excel, so it is possible to do it in Google Workspace, you can at the same time reference your colleagues and use voice chat or video conferencing. So that is one advantage. And there is also a lot of mobility issues. So with Google Workspace, it is easier to do collaboration on all platforms.
Yeah. The second topic that we'll be covering is communication. So basically, Google Workspace still has an edge in that arena, because when we talk about the use of video, the use of video as a business mean of communication, Google started, of course, also much earlier than Microsoft. And I must say there is just one issue that I have with both Google and Microsoft. They didn't make it really easy for people to completely understand what's going on and what's, like the current state of affairs. Google had like Google Hangouts. Now they have Google Meet. They had Google Duo, Google Allo. There are so many different, branding and the stuff going on, so it can add to the confusion, I must say. I still have to correct myself to say let's go to Google Meet or let's go to Google Hangout. So with Microsoft the situation is even worse. So yes, they had Link, they had they purchased Skype. Now they are pushing Teams, and Teams are in fact the first application that Microsoft is doing using the latest, the modern technologies for the web. So with the communication, you can use both Google Meet and you can use Microsoft Teams, and they will work. Maybe some companies might prefer one or the other because of their own flavor. And Google Meet has also been significantly improved in last like half a year even.
Yeah, so regarding communication, there was development due to quarantines and requirements from different verticals. So both education and manufacturing, retail had requirements to improve on communication. So for example, Google had a lot of things before that were not polished enough for current requirements, and they improved significantly, as well as Microsoft. So there was a competition from Zoom and other communication platforms where consumer accounts were also participating in enterprise and education communication. So that there were a lot of advancement on those things, that you can communicate with your customers and not only inside your company. There is integration of voice. So with Google Workspace, somehow you get ability to dial in to video conferences in a lot of countries, including free dial-in numbers, and there is a distinct advantage of integration with editors. So with Google Workspace, you can simultaneously communicate and work on documents, while Microsoft in Teams, we're trying to emulate what Slack and other platforms had for developers, with the idea that in one place you would have documents and you would be able to chat and communicate. So I would say at at this particular moment, Google Workspace has some advantage in communication area, but Microsoft is catching up. So they, I wouldn't say abandoned Skype, but they moved to Teams that is now able to work using browser only. With some limitations. If you need full Teams capabilities, you have to use a native application for Windows.
Yeah, and one thing that we can say, even though competitors like, for instance, Zoom, they are not they are basically using the public cloud and they are the good guys. But in the end, do you really want your company to be using an application that is not part of the, authentication, identification, and everything that you already get within your Office Productivity Suite? So basically, Zoom is sort of shadow IT.
So I would say that many companies had a lot of issues with VPNs and their on-prem infrastructure. A lot of companies are still using a legacy communication capabilities from Microsoft, especially on-prem Link and Skype for Business and stuff like that. So it is really causing a lot of issues, and it does not make sense. So at the moment, Office 365 is a much better solution. So if you can get rid of VPN requirements, especially for communication, you will make life of your employees much easier, and you will raise satisfaction with the services that IT can provide.
Definitely stick with Google and Microsoft
on-prem. Sticking with Microsoft on-prem solutions is
a bad idea, and also using Zoom is not a really good idea, because you have employees roaming various Zoom meetings, maybe leaving some information there that you as the IT do not have any control over. So basically, using Google Workspace, using Microsoft 365 is a much better choice. So the third topic is the satisfaction with IT department. So if you can communicate clearly to your employees that they should not be using Zoom, if you can communicate with them clearly that they should not be using consumer accounts or stuff like that, I'm sure that it will raise the satisfaction with the IT department. And also in the report that you will be able to download, there is strong data suggesting that satisfaction with IT departments is stronger in companies that are using Google Workspace. Would you agree, Mladen, that the reason for that would be that many companies using Office 365 might still have a lot of legacy and a lot of issues with VPNs and stuff like that, and that is the reason why Google Workspace would produce stronger?
Unfortunately, a lot of companies trying to use Office 365 tend to have hybrid deployments and stuff like that. That are causing a lot of issues, and suddenly you have users on one platform on-prem and the other users are in public cloud, and there is a friction between them. Plus, it is somehow coming from on-prem that keeps Office 365 less suited for mobile workforce and for work from home. But as we said, Microsoft developed Teams as the first application that is capable of fully utilizing communication using a web browser, and they have also editors available in web browsers plus on mobile platforms. So if you have Office 365 only deployment, then it would be much easier for your users
Yeah.
than if you have VPNs and half of users on on-prem and half of on Office 365.
Yeah, and in the report you will see data that large companies show even more satisfaction with Google Workspace than smaller companies, which basically does go against the, like some people would say that like Google Workspace is more suited for small companies than Office 365 for larger companies, but that is not really the truth.
It's quite
Yeah, it's
opposite.
quite the opposite. In fact, large companies really benefit from Google Workspace, and IT departments
Yes.
can also benefit from that.
So at the moment, Office 365 is severely lacking in user right management granulation that is required for large enterprises. If you have companies in different countries and you have to manage administration rights and stuff like that, Google Workspace has much better enterprise API capabilities and user rights management.
Yeah, and the point with the UseWise that we are developing, for instance, in next few months we will be going public with our Sign UseWise app that will enable managing email signature across Google Workspace and Microsoft 365 at the same time. So we want to enable the multi-cloud collaboration and ability of IT departments to have mix of Google Workspace and of Microsoft 365, because that is what we always recommend, because users are not the same, and sometimes it really can be difficult for companies to get everybody on the same page, and UseWise will be here to help smooth this transition to the cloud and to enable what is now not really
So
possible.
in the end, we see a lot of coexistence, and there are some collaboration capabilities that are interoperable. So it is even possible to schedule Google Workspace Meet and Office 365 Teams meeting through a bridge with the same calendar, and you can even connect users from different platforms. But there is also a requirement to somehow streamline management of both solutions. So we will include in UseWise features like tracking domains. So we see when there are larger companies using public cloud Office productivity suite, there are a lot of issues with managing tens or hundreds of domains with expiration dates, different registrars and stuff like that. So this signature management will also take care of domains.
Yeah. And the next topic is mobility. So basically, in the era of mobile devices, Microsoft at one point basically had like 100% of the mobile device market. And ever since then, it was like a constant road downhill, unfortunately. And on the other hand, Google owns Android. So in the mobility part, we can say that Google really holds a very strong advantage.
Yes, so for mobile device management, it is one of very interesting topics, because Microsoft moved their Windows 10 platform to mobile device management as well. So you have kind of on-prem Active Directory, and you can use group policies and stuff like that. But you can at the same time manage Windows 10 as a mobile device as you would manage your mobile phone. And Google Workspace has a capability in enterprise editions that you can log into Windows 10 using your Google identity, and you can manage your device through mobile device management. So we have also demo video,
Yeah.
and we will include a link to show you how you can manage your desktops the same way as you are managing your mobile devices.
Yeah.
But not only regarding management, there is a significant advantage with being able to publish your own applications on marketplace, and with no code or low code development, many enterprises are starting to use mobile applications as well. And if you are using Google Workspace, it is easier to do it. If you go with Office 365, you can have Intune. So there are additional tools
Yeah.
from Microsoft that can help you manage your mobile devices as well.
And apps, Google's apps are much more suited for the mobile devices, because also Google started much earlier with developing mobile applications for the Google Workspace than Microsoft did for the Microsoft 365. So this is also one area where we see
Yeah, so basically, even if you have Office 365, you would most probably use Android devices, and
yeah.
then you would need some kind of Google identity if you would like your users to have enterprise capabilities and management, and not using their residential accounts, private accounts to log into their mobile devices. So we see a lot of enterprises talking about security and yada, but then all of their users are using their private accounts, Gmail accounts, to log into their mobile device and use Google Play and
yeah. And so Google has an advantage definitely in the mobility area. I didn't want to put any like Google advantage, Microsoft advantage on each of those topics, because the way that we see it, things are never like black and white, and there are various needs that some solution might fulfill much better for some companies, even though all other companies say that this need is better fulfilled by somebody else. So basically, we want to promote a thoughtful approach to the comparison of those two solutions, and to promote an approach in which you might feel free to go granular and to go with Google Workspace for some employees, with Microsoft 365 for some other employees, to mix, to give somebody this license or that license. So basically, we see really very many needs that need to be fulfilled, and where answers are really not very straightforward sometimes. The second topic is access to information. So many companies have lots of silos of old information. Sometimes it is very hard to get information that you need when you need it. And Google Workspace fulfills this need better in some areas than Office 365. It definitely has this big advantage that Google is google.com. They have the search, and the search capabilities across Google Workspace are really impressive.
Yeah, so not only that you can have a search of your Drive documents, but you can also, in enterprise versions, include a lot of other sources, and you can actually integrate search capabilities with your databases and document management systems. So it gives users a lot of advantages, and somehow search is one area where Workspace really excels. So with Office 365, of course, that there is also search capability, but it is usually more limited than
Yeah.
with Workspace.
Yeah. Next topic is the culture. So one of the important aspects of the work is definitely the tools that you are using. And I'm 100% sure that both Google Workspace and Microsoft 365 will improve the culture and the satisfaction of your employees, their ability to stay in your company, to be loyal to your company, their daily productivity and efficiency. And one of the aspects that is important to note when we talk about the culture is the fact that Google has been very active in the educational sector for years now.
Yes,
Yeah,
so
and
Microsoft is also quite
they are, yeah,
present in education,
yeah,
but the point is when people come to your company, they spend a lot of time using IT
yeah,
technologies, and somehow the way whether it is public cloud or it's on-prem solution, I would say that's a big differentiator.
yeah,
So if you have a tendency to improve on quality of work experience
yeah,
for your employees, you would most probably go for a public cloud solution because people are somehow coming from education
yeah,
using those tools. So in many countries there are Chromebooks, and
yeah,
people are using web applications only in education, especially in US. In other countries, Microsoft has more, I would say, Office 365 and on-prem solutions for education. But Microsoft is also pressing hard to move everything
yeah,
to public cloud, and there is definitely a strong perception that the younger people would prefer Google Workspace, while older would try to retain what they learned before. Yeah.
we'll see about that.
Okay.
And the next topic is the bottom line. So basically, both Google Workspace and Office 365 will definitely improve your productivity, your innovation within your company. It will reduce the time to market. Google Workspace still has some advantage in that area as well. And Google is definitely using more services that are known to us from our everyday, like Google Translate. It is completely integrated within Google products. So
Yeah, so there are many new capabilities, especially driven by artificial intelligence, where, as Adriana mentioned, Google Translate can enable you to simultaneously have documents in different languages, but there is also image tagging recognition and stuff like that. So there are development platforms that can enhance what you can do with Office Productivity Suite. So it's an amplification of Office productivity that really matters.
yeah. And in the report that you will be able to download, you will see one interesting number, which I am really not surprised with. that in small companies, a larger percentage of employees will perceive that they are being more innovative with Office 365 than in large companies. The numbers are smaller than with Google Workspace, and Google Workspace is more consistent across large and smaller companies. But Office 365, again, it comes down to the level in which Office 365 has really been utilized to its full extent. Because lots of companies using Office 365 will tend to have IT departments will tend to have a strong grip on the old world, you know, and they will be more reluctant to enable and to enable the change that is needed for employees to start using new tools. So that is one interesting point. And the same trend is in the productivity area. Even though the numbers show that Google Workspace in large companies will help drive more productive features than in small companies, which is also very, very interesting. And in the end, also in the report that you will be able to download by clicking on this link in the presentation, that will be in the link to which will be in the comments below. There are also outcomes for the large companies where Workspace is preferred in large companies, and Google Workspace is preferred with employees aged 55 plus. Which is all really like not very intuitive, but we can really confirm that this is also the result that we expected to see. So this report that you will download is definitely based in reality, and we can tell you is that if you are thinking of moving your office productivity to the cloud, then just do it. I mean, definitely that's the right step to do. And the important thing is to not think that you are like destined for one of those solutions, or that you have to go like in one way and just end up in the wrong forest. Be free to mix, be free to think in the terms of coexistence. Contact somebody that knows both solutions. So do not think that going by somebody that is working only with Office 365 is the best way to go. It is not. There are companies like ours that work with both Google and Microsoft. This report is sponsored by Google, but we can give you always an honest opinion and lead you to choose the best solution for yourself and for your business needs. So we have office hours on Friday, to which you can also sign up using the link in the comments below. And just let us know what your thoughts are. We are looking forward to always to hearing from our viewers. Hope you found this video useful. Thank you, Mladen, for your time.
Thank you for your time as well, and thank you for watching.
Yeah, and subscribe and like our video if you like it. Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye. Thank you for watching. Bye.